I'm going to pick Triple G to win, but there's some different variables that I want people to look at. I think he's a dude that he's younger than Triple G. He's fit, in shape, southpaw, and he's crafty. So he's going to use exercise more brain power than guys like Marco Antonio Rubio. I don't look at Willie Monroe Jr. like that. I think he's crafty and slippery. Now, the reason I'm not picking Willie Monroe to pull an upset is because one thing significant that I think he lacks is power. I think in all of his fights he only has 6 knockouts, something like that. So if he had a little bit more respectable pop, I would entertain the idea of an upset. But it's just the lack of power is the missing link to me for Willie Monroe. And I think over the course of 12, somehow Triple G will get it done. I would not be surprised if Willie Monroe goes either the distance or goes like longer than most people think. So I think he's going to fight with more tenacity. I just ultimately see him at some point getting caught, even if Triple G has to struggle to create that opening. I think at some point he'll probably get clipped and caught with something that maybe he doesn't recover from. But we'll see. We'll see if Willie Monroe can take him into deep waters. I do, however, feel he can at least do better than guys like Matthew Macklin, who lasted 3 or 4 rounds. Guys like Daniel Gill lasted 3-4 rounds. Guys like Marco Antonio Rubio. Guys who got blown out of there quick, and it was heavily one-sided. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Just watched the Triple G Willie Monroe fight. It was entertaining. Props to Triple G for securing the victory and adding on to his impressive knockout streak. And then also props to Willie Monroe Jr. Fought very valiantly. He showed a lot of heart in there. And as far as the fight, pretty much what I predicted. I said Triple G via stoppage. I think ultimately big level experience. Willie Monroe, he lacked that. He had a pretty good style, but one of the biggest hindrances with his style is that Triple G I don't think would respect his power enough. So that's pretty much what I've seen in the particular fight. Triple G imposing his will. He's a master of cutting off the ring and putting that constant pressure. It's hard for even slicker style boxers to deal with that constant pressure, and then on top of it, he's a powerful dude. So he knocked Willie Monroe down 2 times in the 2nd round, and he got the stoppage in the 6th round. And Willie Monroe was done. You could tell he had no legs. He wanted to continue, but his response time was slow. He was just basically done. This is something I did notice. Post-fight, Max Kellerman was talking to Triple G, and I like Triple G's personality. He said something in it. I don't think it is the truth, in my opinion. And he basically said, yeah, no, I know, Mexican style. I want to give... He could have ended things in round 2, but he allowed it to go on and prolonged it just in order to please the crowd and Mexican style and this stuff. I disagree with that, because if you have a chance to handle somebody, then you do that. You don't. Why would you take any kind of chances? Why would you let him linger on and then maybe that same opening doesn't happen, a la Keith Thurman versus Leonard Bundu? Bundu badly hurt in the 1st round, goes the distance because he's less willing to engage and he's just content surviving. You know what I'm saying? So, and you have to analyze that statement. If the fans came to see you put on like big drama show, knocking him out in the 2nd round versus knocking him out in the 6th round, what's the difference? No one's going to be mad if you have an early night in a 2nd round knockout as opposed to a 6th round knockout. So I don't really see how that's substantially more entertaining. If anything, you lost one of those rounds. You lost round 4. So it just doesn't add to what he was saying. Like if you knock him out in the 2nd round, it's just done. One-sided fight. You won. You got the knockout. But as it went on, Triple G won every round except for round 4, where Willie Monroe did pretty good. So again, even if it is true, which I don't believe it is, I think a lot of you guys are just gullible as boxing fans. You just believe whatever a fighter says or their trainer or promoter. But even if it is true, it's by far one of the dumbest things you can do in boxing. I can think of countless examples. You look at Mikey Garcia versus Orlando Salido. Dominant performance by Mikey Garcia early. Mikey Garcia even knocked Salido down 4 times. What happened late in that fight? He got his nose broke. Mikey Garcia got his nose broke, and it appeared that Salido was coming on, had a 2nd win, and was starting to do better. So had that fight continued, who knows? You don't want to be in there with a guy like Salido, who's a veteran, who's tough, and you have a broken nose. So anything like that can happen. What if Golovkin got thumbed in his eye like Lucas Matisse? His eye started swelling up. because you let him hang around and all of a sudden you have partial vision. You know what I'm saying? Stupid stuff like that happens in boxing. Marquez versus Pacquiao Part 1. Pacquiao looked like he was going to do a repeat performance of his fight with Barrera and knocked Marquez down 3 times. Marquez battled back to get a draw in that particular fight. So again, if you have the opportunity, then you take it. You don't chance it and be like, oh, big drama show and all this. So I don't agree with that. And if what you're saying is factual, then that's even dumber, because that's a dumb game plan to allow someone to hang around. And the other thing is, a lot of people try to convince me Triple G has this impeccable defense. I don't see that. I think he's very good. I think his offense is mostly his defense. I think he relies on his power and he gets hit. But he gets hit in confidence because he knows he relies on his chin, and he feels that if I could take what they got and what they dish out, but they're not going to be able to take what I dish out. And that's what I really think. But stop trying to convince me that this man has a crazy defense. I just don't see it. So there's a lot of interesting fights and options. A guy like Canelo, if he wants to move up, great inside fighter. And you have to look at it. If you're relying on your chin, I've seen the toughest chins get cracked. You know what I'm saying? Chavez Sr., Chavez Jr. Chavez Jr. was thoroughly being outboxed and broken down by Andres Fonfara, and he quit on the stool. You look at Margarito, granite chin, and he got stopped by Shane Mosley. So, again, if your defense is so great, you should be able to do and execute everything you do offensively and still get punched less. You know what I'm saying? So I don't think Triple G has a great defense, and he's just merely trying to put on this show for the fans. So he's willing to just get black eyes and get cut and have whatever else happen, deal with the soreness the next couple of days because he has a black eye and swelling. I think that's his style. He's willing to be that aggressive because he relies on his chin, and he relies on the fact that he's going to break you down. He's going to get to you, and you're not going to like what he has coming. That's what I really think. Again, if your defense is impeccable, then you should be able to do whatever you want offensively and still get touch less. You know what I'm saying? People are like, oh, he just did that because he was fighting Martin Murray. He was allowing them. He was allowing Willie Monroe. Again, it's stupid. If you know anything about boxing, it's stupid to allow anybody any type of advantage. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I'm going to allow this motherfucker to hit me. It makes no sense. So, again, Triple G is very effective. His offense is his defense for the most part. I'm not saying he has the worst defense in the game, but I still don't see it being like a flawless defense and he's just allowing people to hit him just because he's a good boy nation beast and stuff like that. But props to Triple G. There's a lot of good fights. And again, I think it's a bad habit to get hit openly like that, because if you're used to doing that and walking through everyone's shots, it's going to be interesting. Now, I would say Triple G beats everyone at middleweight. I've been on record saying that plenty of times. Check my old videos. But I want to see him in there with a guy with some good boxing ability and more power. To his credit, he fought Curtis Stevens, but Curtis Stevens to me is a bit of a loose cannon. You never know what type of performance he's going to turn in, like the Hassan Nadam fight or Toriano Johnson, where he was clearly losing and he had a miraculous knockout at the last minute. You know what I'm saying? So I want to see him in with the guy who can punch with a bit more stability up top and some boxing ability. I would prefer, like if Hassan Nadam and David Lemieux, I'd almost prefer David Lemieux win that fight just to see Golovkin in with another good puncher. The slick style, like Hassan Nadam, is cool, but I just see that being very difficult if he doesn't respect your power. I mean, the man keeps trucking and tries to steamroll you. So I want to see him in there with a guy like Peter Quillen, Andy Lee, David Lemieux. I would pick him to beat all those guys, but these guys have home run, game-changing power. And if he just gets caught with something that he's not expecting, I want to see how he really, truly reacts, because I don't feel David Lemieux has, you can walk through my best shot power. You know what I mean? I think he has power to hurt most guys around his size that he's in the ring with. Same thing with Peter Quillen. He knocked Hassan Nadam down 6 times, hurt Andy Lee. I think he really, truly has power. Again, I would favor Golovkin in all those matches, but if Golovkin wants to give to the fans and walk through shots, then shit, I want to see him in there with a guy like the ones I mentioned, even Canelo. So again, I'm not going to take away from Triple G's performance. He did what he had to do, and he was Triple G tonight. He has a good personality, but I'm anxious to see his team's next move. And I don't want to. I want to see him in there with a guy that the world knows, so to speak, a big name. I know he's been chasing people down. Hopefully, after this performance, they're willing to step in the ring for him with him. But that's what I want. So good fight. I enjoyed it. Willie Monroe showed heart. Ultimately, didn't have the tools and the you know what I mean, the novice. His style. That's the thing. Like, he was getting blasted in the 6th round. He doesn't make those good executive decisions like a guy like Rigondeaux or Mayweather. You notice Mayweather or Rigondeaux, when they get hurt in fights, they tend to do better. Sometimes even win the round they're hurt in. You know what I mean? Shane Mosley, after rocking Mayweather twice, Mayweather came back strong that same round and actually made the round close, pretty close. You know what I mean? Rigondeaux gets dropped twice and then comes back and starts bullying Amagasa's eye. But guys like Monroe, they have a lot of pride and toughness, and he didn't even take a knee. He was getting plowed, and it was clear he had been hurt a couple times in round 6, and he just, too much heart, didn't do what was sensible. Not that that would have probably changed anything, but you know what I mean? You might have been able to go the distance with this man instead of getting stopped. So decisions like that, stuff you got to live with and learn from in boxing. Make sure you like my video. As always, hate, comment, and subscribe. Till next video, it's Ego signing off.
I like to give good box. Yeah, this big box. I want to give fans Mexican style. Good fight, big drama. Drama in the box. Mexican drama box. Good fight. I like fans.